Hey guys, I wanted to talk a little bit about journals. I've got another video up for this week about finding and using sources, and then it's kind of a general overview of different sources that you might use. Books and journals and academic websites and academically appropriate websites. But what I want to do now is focus a little bit specifically on journals. And in that previous video, lecture video, I talked about briefly about journals and that they are kind of discipline specific works, academic writing that are kind of about the same general topic usually. There are some that are fairly broad, you get like science or nature or some of these, but most journals get really hyper specific in the kinds of information that they're going to cover. So we're talking about very specific bits of molecular biology, or we talked about in the previous video about a journal about African herpetology, so African snakes. I mean, it's a very specific type of writing that's going to go into this journal. So I want to show you a little bit about journals. I've got a couple of things that I want to do. I want to show you where to find journals at the EC's website, at the Joiner Library website. And then I want to go through a search, and then I want to show you some of the elements of a journal that are going to make it valuable for you when you go to actually use it. All right, so let's look at an example of how to go search on Joiner Library's website and for their database. And the databases, of course, are collections of journals that are kind of fall into a specific category of information. All right, so let's go look at that. Okay, so let's go look at Joiner's Library. We're going to do some searching. This is their one search bar, which you can find for all kinds of references. But I want to go show you some databases where their journals, they house journal databases. Probably the one that we are going to use most often is ProQuest, although there are tons of different databases, and these are kind of repositories for a bunch of different journal articles, journals and journal articles. So when you go to Joiner's website, you can type in. We can look for type in kind of search parameters, things that you're looking for. Here we'll use racial justice as our search parameter, and you're going to see we're going to turn up all kinds of different things. 800,000 newspaper articles, and here we have a book called City in a Garden. It's about racial justice in Austin, Texas. And here you can cite the book, you can download the whole thing. Here you're going to see that you're going to be able to do the same thing with journal articles as well, usually is to find some ready-made citations, which is helpful. Now we're going to go look specifically at the journal articles. So with the search parameter of racial justice, we can find about 250,000 journals that might work for us, or journal articles. So this one is called Digital Storytelling in Racial Justice, and so you can see that we're going to pull up the entire journal article here, and we can download it, which I highly recommend that you do. Okay, so now that you have your journal article downloaded, there's things you're going to find here. You're going to get the title, of course. You'll find the author or authors, and then you'll have your abstract as well, which is that 200 to 300 word summation of the article. You'll see that at the top, everything that you'll need to cite your paper is going to be generally you're going to be able to find it in some way. All journals are different, but it's going to be there. You'll find it. And then I did wanted to show you that this is an APA formatted paper. We can tell because you have the author's name and then the year of publication immediately after, which is indicative of APA formatted paper. All right, so just to show you, scroll down, look at all of the different citations and references that are in a part of this, just a very short paper, about 10,000 word paper. It's got a lot of sources and citations. So this is where you're going to find the website, and this is for this paper, the article that this would have been on, or a very similar one to it. You're going to see all of the different types of articles that are going to be found in this kind of journal. Okay, so that's a really quick overview of where you can find journals through the ECE's website or the Joiner Library website. And then also just a real quick kind of overview of what a journal article looks like. It's going to be your responsibility to read those journal articles, to find the ones that are going to be responsive to the research that you're doing, the study that you're doing. The other thing that I would recommend to you is when you do find a journal article that you think is going to be useful for you, or even if you're not 100% sure that you're going to use it, my recommendation is to go ahead and download that. What I do generally is if I have a paper that I'm working on, I will create a folder on my computer or in whatever your Google Drive is, or your OneDrive through ECU's web. The Microsoft Word account, Microsoft Office account. Just set up a folder and make that the folder for that specific paper. I have crazy hierarchies for how I do it, just to keep myself organized. But once you have a folder built for that paper that you're going to do, in this case, whatever English 1100 Project 3 is, I would build a folder just for that. And then what you can do is save your paper in there, and then what I do is I will download all these journal articles that I think I may need. I may not even, I don't know if I need them again, who knows. It may turn out to not be useful, but as long as you have them downloaded into that folder. The benefit of that is if you're working offline somewhere, you can always find it. You can always have access to it. You don't need to log back on. And the other thing is once you have that journal downloaded onto your website, once you have that journal downloaded onto your computer, you're always going to be able to find it again, find the exact wording of the quote that you want to use, and probably more importantly, be able to find the information that you need to be able to do your citations and your references list for an 8K formatted paper. So, always download it. That's my recommendation. It's free for you to download through the Joiner website or any other website that journal database we have that Joiner Library has access to. So that's my recommendation. Anyway, if you have questions about using journals, I'd be glad to help you out with that or entertain those questions. They sometimes can be very long articles, so they can be really hard to read. You're going to have to take some time to learn hopefully earlier in your education career than later, how to skim through, peruse, to find the information that's going to be relevant to you, because oftentimes journal articles can be really overly well written, and sometimes there's a little too much information. So there's almost an art to being able to get into a journal article and find the information that's going to be relevant to you. So this is time to start practicing that. Okay, all right. Hope this is helpful about learning how to use journals and how to use the information within them.